What is up, y'all? This is In the Image Clothing Company music, and how fitting because this phone is what I'm filming this with. It's actually setting on it's leaning against the sewing machine right now as my tripod. So this is In the Image Clothing Company music. This is Frank the guitar. My name is Evan Strong. I am the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. At In the Image Clothing Company, we address the human body. We let the body work. We do it mostly through clothing because it's the only thing placed physically on us at all times. But then everything that we do in our lives, like guitars, over on this side of things, In the Image Clothing Company music, guitars are huge for us here. We just allow everything that we do in our lives to work around our bodies because we can't do anything the other way. So, yeah, here's Frank the guitar. If he's a tiny bit out of tune throughout this, I don't care. I just put these new strings on. This is the first set of new strings that I've put on Frank since I got him. I've had him almost 2 weeks now. So, what I want to talk about is fingernails. Fingernails, well, here's the thing. When it comes to In the Image Clothing Company music, fingernails are the same as anything else in our life. And on the main company side of things, In the Image Clothing Company, I have a whole video titled The Truth Behind Fingernails. As far as I'm aware, it's within the Truth Behind series. And anyway, yeah, so talk about a raw video. I just discuss how fingernails need to go to the very tips of our fingers. Their natural function, really pretty much the main reason we have fingernails, is to support our fingers. Our natural grip strength is so much stronger than most of us know if we have fingernails that are cut shorter than the tips of our fingers. Now, the way that mine look right now and are shaped and everything isn't quite exactly like the example, but they're pretty well to the ends of my fingertips. And that's what we need for everything in our lives. But then when it comes to playing guitar, I have a video that I made titled Use the Pads of Your Fingers When You Play Guitar. And that's what I was discussing, is how naturally, with everything in our lives, we would use the pads of our fingers rather than the very tips. And when you don't have fingernails supporting the ends of your fingers, then you're going through life and doing things kind of like this rather than like this. But it's so important. Both hands, just get your fingernails. These, again, aren't quite the ideal example, but they're close. These middle two especially are still growing out a little bit. I cut them a little bit too short the first day I bought Frank. And it's been like a week and a half, and they're still growing out, so... When we play guitar, you want to use your fingernails. You really do. If you're picking, because it'll get that nice sharp attack sound, and that's what you want. And in addition to that, though, otherwise you have to get your fingers between the frets. I mean, between the strings, well, the frets as well. It's just in an unnatural way, right? You're using like the very tips of your fingers, and that's actually, like I was mentioning within that other video, that's why people play classical guitar or something like similar to this, you know. But that's not how your hand works as you go through life. Your hand works here, and when you pick, that's where you are. Now, when I first started playing guitar, which is basically now, I've been playing guitar for 2 years. And within that time, I would have random length fingernails. And I remember specifically, there was a time I cut my nails so short. I mean, I cut my nails just so too short. And at the time, I was trying to figure out what I needed to play with in guitar, whether it was a steel string or a nylon string, or if the fretboard needed to be flat, or if we need a radius. And since then, I have now found what we need for the human body's natural function when it comes to a guitar. Since then, I founded In the Image Clothing Company. The whole company is geared around allowing our human bodies to work. So, yeah, radius within everything, right? A rounding. And as far as the guitar goes, and then, I have my video titled Full Nylon String Guitar Setup, but within our fingers, the nails should just go right to the very tips of the fingers. And the thing is, within our lives, that's how it is, like I was saying. So really, there's no like difference to do, because that's the thing that we don't want. We don't want to approach something like playing an instrument and think about it as if we have to like set our bodies up, quote unquote, differently than the rest of our lives. Our bodies only work in one way. Every part of them only does its one thing. And we just need it to be able to be doing that through everything. So when it comes to a guitar, the ideal length for the fingernails is the same ideal length that it is for the rest of our lives, because it's the point that we're getting at is to let our hands work freely, in line, naturally, without cramping, without getting stiff. And the way we're going to do that the best is if that's how it is. If the fingernails just go right to the very tips of our fingers to support them, because that is how our hands are going to work in the rest of our lives. And you don't want, because sometimes what you'll see with guitarists is if they do have nails that they pick with their, what would normally be their right hand, but their picking hand, right? Unless you have a left-handed guitar is what I'm saying, right? The other way. If they have nails on this hand to pick with, sometimes they won't on their left. And so they'll be fretting with basically no fingernails and using the very tips of their fingers and kind of looking like this, but then they're trying to keep their thumb on the back of the neck because people say that that's good technique. There's no such thing as technique as what I'm saying here. It's just how does the hand work and play a guitar doing that. Here, even though you have to get between the frets, like I discussed in that other video, you still need to get your hand to where it's just working. You don't want to be like, you see guitarists out like this, and like I was saying, like this, and that's just not how your hand works. And so, through everything we do, our bodies should just be in their ideal position. If you've heard that term before, like a well-oiled machine, I'm going to address real quick. My forearm is feeling it after just like pretending to play like this for that amount of time that you saw. I feel it within my forearm because it's just not at all how the hand works. It's out here, right? Like natural, like here, like you're just sitting and holding it. So when we use our hands to play, they want to just be in the same position that they'd be in everything else in our lives, right? As if I'm just sitting here talking, my hands are just already just working as they would naturally do anything. So I don't like the idea of somebody saying to manicure your fingernails a certain way for guitar, because now you're being intentional about trying to tell your body to do a certain thing or do the thing, guitar, in a certain way that's different than how they're going to operate throughout the rest of your existence on the planet as a human. So keep the nails just right to the very tips on both, because the problem that gets amplified, besides just any kind of discrepancy in length is just different than how your hand's going to naturally work. If you have short nails on this side, the left hand, the fretting hand, and your hand's working on the tips of your fingers, and then you have longer nails on your right hand to pick with, now your whole body's in a twist. Your whole body's in an imbalance. This hand's working more in line, and this hand's working excessively curled, and your entire body is misaligned. I always say how the hand is essentially the shoulder. If the hand's altered, the shoulder will be. And if the shoulder's altered, the shoulders connect to the spine, and the spine's the center of you, and it'll go through and alter your hips and alter down your legs to your feet, and the arches will change, and your head will sit differently, your jaw will sit differently, and mesh your teeth different. Your jaw naturally stabilizes your entire body. So at that point, just because your nails have been manicured to work around the guitar, now the rest of your life, you're in that pattern that you've trained, which is in imbalance, left to right, especially in that case within your body. So you do want to use your fingernails though. You really do, because what'll happen, like I was saying, I've had plenty of experience playing with fingernails, without fingernails, having them certain ways, or not really knowing that I needed them certain ways. What'll happen is your hand is just going to be altered so much that the entire rest of your body is going to have tension to try to be compensating. I always talk about that if anything within the body isn't working how it's naturally designed to, then something else and many things within the body have to compensate, because the body only actually works as a whole. So your hands being that altered to where their natural support from from the nails isn't there, they'll curl and you'll work like this over here, and you'll work like more curled up with this hand. And I know that there's a lot of similar things that I mentioned in the other video, but I want this to be a thorough discussion on the importance of fingernails, especially when it comes to guitar, as in specifically when it comes to guitar. So you want your fingers to work in line like this, and if they're not supported, they'll roll like this, and then you'll be using them more like this, and now their full extension and full range of motion, which the shoulder follows directly, won't be there. And you'll see some really good guitarists, like you'll see some really good guitarists, and they'll play with their fingers like pretty well straight. And yeah, that's something that can only happen with fingernails. Otherwise, there's no support, so they'll curl, and the shoulder is really what's moving. So yeah, fingernails. What I say, and it's not about me, what I always like share though, is cut your nails flat on the tips. I'm always talking about everything round within life, right? The rounding to our hand that's naturally there, and the rounding within our nut slots, and the fretboard, and the saddle, and incorporating just a rounding to everything that we do in our modern 2024 that's so unnaturally flat. But when it comes to cutting the fingernails, cut them flat on the ends, because what that'll do is make it like a good solid, like locked into place. Because if it's just curved on the end, cut rounded, then when you grip something, your fingers can just roll. But if it's cut straight, then when you grip, it's like secure. So when you fret notes, it's just that you push it down, like you fret the note, right? And it just your finger will just stay. It won't like press and you have to like, whoa, try to stabilize it. So a lot of the strength within your body comes from just your fingernails. Toenails as well, but when it comes to guitar, it's our fingernails that we use, with the guitar. So yeah, cut them flat right to the very end, and then the corners I just kind of cut off so that they're not sharp, and there you go. I remember, wow, I can come at this at two angles. I remember picking when I was like playing guitar last year, and my fingernails were so way too short, and just how stiff and cramped up my hand would get. My hand would be more like this rather than like nice and in line. Your hand should be able to close very tightly. I mean, that's where like your dexterity is if your hands are very small, as far as just how small they'd naturally be. But when your fingernails aren't all the way to the ends of your fingers, then your hands kind of work and they get like this stiff and wider and thicker than they would naturally be, and you can actually see it. It's crazy because, like I said, I got this guitar less than 2 weeks ago. First day I got it, I cut my nails too short, and my hand was already like thickening up within the first like day playing this after I had cut them that short. And so now that they're just allowed to work in line in their natural, neutral, straight out from the pinky forearm position, right? Now they just are smaller already. And that's real. I know that might sound a little bit foreign to some people, but yeah, like the thickness of your hands, because in order to have dexterity and move the hands freely, they need to be, well, because in the Image Clothing Company, we talk about the skeletal system. So the hands need to be as slender as they would just naturally be, with having your own skeletal system at the thickness that yours is, with just the musculature and the skin on top of that, without excessively like grown and stuff to try to stabilize when the fingernails aren't providing their natural function because of something that we have actually done to them. So yeah, that's a lot of movement with my hand there, but yeah. So when you're strumming, you'll have fingernails to use, unless you're using a pick. I never use picks, but then you'll have fingernails to use there. When you're picking, you'll have fingernails to use, and when you're fretting, you'll have fingernails to support that level of pinching, because sometimes we're doing bar chords and new strings, man. And you know, you do a lot of pinching, and that natural strength that's there won't be allowed to be if you don't have nails to support. Okay, so your hand's going to be like, the reason I move everything up here is because, again, the hand is essentially the shoulder. So your shoulder is going to move, your upper traps, your head. You're going to get tension in your head. You're going to potentially just get headaches from playing guitar because your nails are too short. Well, everything in life. If you have chronic headaches, this is like something that doesn't just apply to guitar. But if you have chronic headaches, then you check your fingernails. If your fingernails are shorter than the ends of them, that's probably like the main reason. It could be anything in addition, but no doubt, if you have no fingernail support that's at the natural length, then since your shoulder position is so altered, your upper trap, which is the muscle that goes from your shoulder up into the base of your skull, will just have an immense amount of tension. And so you'll have a lot of, that's what, when they talk about tension headaches, fingernails. So yeah, really. We are in the Image Clothing Company, right? So get some fingernails even on both sides of the body. That's the whole thing, is the body needs to be centered. We have a center line as human beings. The sternum, this bone in the front, the spine, which is probably the most obvious one that people can see as being the center of the body, and then the nose, right? Those are the three things that I use to mention. So if you have a hand that's closed more on one side or a hand that's closed more on the other side, you're just rotating your entire body from your hands. So get those fingernails the correct length and make them flat, as in cut them with flat clippers, or even use something else. If you don't have flat clippers, don't go purchase them if you don't feel like that's what you know, I'm not trying to tell you to purchase them is all I'm saying. But do what you can to cut them straight, because if you're using curved clippers, you can't cut your nails straight with those. Pretty much couldn't happen. So yeah, fingernails, man. It's like what I talk about with the importance of just the setup of an instrument, how you are wasting your time practicing playing a guitar that's just set up terrible. And same thing with this. If you're practicing guitar and you don't have nails supporting the fingers you're using to play the guitar, you're wasting your time and you're damaging your body. It's irreversible, but irreversible? It's reversible. But for that time period, you're going to get, like I was saying, I mean, the amount of stiffness that I noticed just within a day or two, but then now they're fine. So, irreversible. That sounds right, but that's not correct, is it? Because it would be reversible, what you've done. Oh, I think the reason I say that say the word irreversible is because when I talk about patternings within the body, getting out of these patternings is irreversible, as in you won't have to, like, this is a great example. This is actually exactly what I'm saying. If you have had stiff hands for years and you've had too short of nails for that time, grow your nails out, and now the freedom of movement within your hand is irreversible. That's the end I say that on, because that's how it is. As long as you have support there, they're just going to work natural. The only reason they were cramping up before is because you were essentially telling them what to do, as in you were trying to tell your hands to just work proper without their natural backing to them. So that's the end. That's why I say irreversible when I say those things. Yeah. So set up your guitar correct, set up your body correct, quote unquote, and you won't have to ever massage your hands out. That's not a claim. That's not just only for certain people. I mean, yeah, if you have your own like physical health things that are apart from this kind of thing coming into this, that's different. But no, just the hand works how it does. Get out of the chronic patternings that your hand has like worked into because of its unnatural lack of strength because of the nail clippage. And there you go. It'll be a little bit of an adjustment though, because I know that when I played guitar for just a little while with too short of nails, it's like you train your body, your entire body, into working in the position that the short nails are having it work in. So then when you have nails, it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment, because you're going from picking like this, which is just not how your hand works at all, but you become like accustomed to it, even though it's not comfortable and painful and it's damaging you, to then picking more like here, good open shoulder, right? Neutral wrist and dexterity within your hand. I was trying to say that in a way that was like dexterous hands. I'm not sure how to actually word that though. So there we go. Fingernails, clear to the tips of the fingers. They just have to be. They have to be. I'm not telling you something, but they have to be. I am telling you how the human body works. And I can play guitar. I mean, I'm not just some kid who has an opinion, right? But I do say that all the time within even like the main company side of things. I say, don't believe me, but try it. Don't listen to some kid on the internet. I mean, I don't want you to do that, because whether it's me or anybody else, I don't listen to just some person on the internet either. But if somebody's discussing truth, then it's true. It doesn't matter who's saying it. So Frank's out of tune. I just put these strings on a few hours ago. So shout out to Frank the guitar, Yamaha CGS102A. Shout out to my mom for buying me Frank the guitar used. He's the best. He's awesome. So, as in literally the best guitar that I have owned out of the 20 that I've had. So, shocking to some, but truth. So, yeah, fingernails. Wow, this is very just like chill hangout kind of video. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Okay, so keep your nails at a good length. Use them to pick, because that's one thing is, growing up, I did a lot of manual labor jobs and stuff, and I had nails that were short for those reasons, to keep them cleaner, just because the shorter they are, the less stuff gets stuck underneath them. So I never meaning just for like a lot of years, never had in that time nails that were actually long enough for my body's natural function, not for like any kind of idea of doing something with longer nails. And so when I came to playing guitar, I wasn't used to using my fingers in the way that the fingers actually work. I was used to like doing this, And what it kind of feels like to me is like somebody with no teeth, somebody who's just like munching on stuff with their gums. That's how it seems to me. Like that's how it looks when I look at other people's hands work when their nails are too short. It's like this. It's like they're grabbing at things like they have no teeth within their mouth. And then if they have like good, nails, it's like they just have teeth that just do their function. So that's really how it is. And I think actually the nails and the teeth are made of similar material within the body. I do think so. Actually, if I'm wrong about that, then okay. But I think so. I think they're different than like bone. Like even the teeth, even though they seem like bone, I'm pretty sure they're different. And I think the nails are actually very similar material. If that's not right, then that's not right. But I think so. So anyway, fingernails. Um, you just get a different sound. Like I can try to pick with my pads versus the nails. Yeah, but I can't quite get my fingers on the angle to do that. I want to pick around for just a minute, even though I kind of have a little bit through this, just to kind of show like I can play. I'm self-taught entirely. I can play guitar. I'm not just some kid that's like, you know, and I'm not just trying to. That's another thing when it comes to Indie Image Clothing Company music. We are a clothing company, but it's not just like I'm trying to go branching out to try to reel musicians into our clothing company. No, I'm a fingerstyle guitarist. We have three sides to our company. This is a whole third of our company is just music. And so, yeah, I mean, we dedicate a lot to helping people just be able to play their instruments. Man, and it's so great to have new strings. All right. This video is so calming for me. I'm not sure why. But let's throw some minory stuff at the end of here because I love it. So yeah, I'm using the nails. Yeah, nails. Use them. Use your nails, man. I think part of this video is like, it's almost like a repentance for me. Yeah. And that might be all that I need to say about that within this. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm so like just chilled out about this video, and it's just so real because for me this is so real. I suffered the repercussions from a lot of things. A lot of things within guitar, but a lot of the things that I did was having my nails too short. So yeah. It's pretty out of tune. But this is more of like a discussion on fingernails. Darn it. Where am I? I'm not looking at the fretboard at all. It's also capewood on the 5th. Yeah, I think you can tell how much this video means to me just by how I'm still sitting here. Because, like I said, it feels like this feels like a repentance in itself. And I'm not saying that for any reason other than I really feel that that's the right thing for me to be saying right now. Because, yeah, I mean, so much damage I did to my own body, so many like deeply ingrained physical patternings that I got myself into. Through a lot of things, through playing full-size guitars that are too big for people, for playing flat fretboard guitars, and, you know, playing without fingernails. All those things, what I'm saying is, that all got me into like very, very deeply ingrained physical patternings, imbalances within the body of my own. And so, you know, a lot of these videos that I make, that's why I'm saying this feels more like a just kind of discussion type video rather than like a, hey, let me sit here and be very proper about this being like an instructional video on fingernails and guitars. It's more like, hey, I want to sit here and talk because, because I went through it, man. You know, I went through a lot of stuff. And that's really the best way to learn, you know, in our life here. A lot of things that we don't want to go through and a lot of experiences that we have that teach us things. That's what it is having to go through the experiences to learn the things, even if we don't want to have to experience the pain that comes from it, physical pain, emotional pain, and all the things that come from, you know, just the things that we're doing wrong, really is what it comes down to. So, yeah, that's why I'm so grateful to have this as an outlet, because, I mean, as much good as it is to have people hear your music, that's cool, you know, kind of, that doesn't really matter so much. What's really cool, though, is I love the gift of video, of being able to give through video. And I know how many people have given me things through video, instructional things, informational things, stuff that I'm allowed to learn from and through their mistakes so that I don't have to go through the things that they did. And that's really what I'm doing a lot within these videos for In the Image Clothing Company music. When it comes down to little setup tweaks and things to be pretty darn particular about with your guitar and with your body. You know, positionings when it comes to sitting or standing with the guitar, sizes of guitars, and all those things. I'm very grateful to be able to just, you know, share the knowledge that I have, because if we didn't have the gift of video, then I could only teach the people that I actually taught in person, you know, pretty much the only other way, other than, you know, yeah, sure, other things like writing it out or something, but being able to just make a video like this and potentially have millions, even billions, right, of people, just why not is the thing, you know, see this kind of stuff and learn from my mistakes. And we're here to make mistakes, you know, that's the point of this life, and that's great, but that doesn't mean that everybody has to make the same mistakes. We're here to learn from the things that we don't know, and the way that we learn things is by trial and error. And so, yeah, I don't need nobody telling me nothing about throw the grammar around, because I mean it. I don't need anybody talking about what they think is best for fingernails. The way that you do what you do is up to you, but as far as the way that the human body works, what I'm saying is what I'm saying. So check out In the Image Clothing Company if you got a question, if like, you know, of whatever. So yeah. It's a gift, man. I mean, that's what I've been saying with the main company side of things. Being able to make those videos and help people. You know, I mean, I wore oversized clothing most all my life up until very recent time. And it was very damaging to my breathing, to every aspect of just my physical being, and then into emotions and everything else as well because of that. And so when playing guitar, man, just keep those fingernails right at the ends of your fingertips. So, yeah. All right. It's really cool, man. I almost don't want to cut this, and I'm very, very content with this video. And this is what I love, because we have In the Image Clothing Company podcast where I just sit there and I just talk. There's no kind of need to have it be any kind of thing besides just I'm going to sit here and just speak to whoever's going to ever listen to this, if anybody. And there's no reason that videos for In the Image Clothing Company music couldn't be the same, because I just wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be real. I wanted to be like I'm hanging out with whoever's on the other side of this, if you will, you know. So Frank the guitar, man. There really is a lot of repentance, though. That's what I just feel like I gotta focus on within this the most, because you know, placing importance on guitars more than on my own understanding of my own body is what I was doing at that time. And I was very blinded by just trying to get better at guitar, that I was looking at my fingernails as more of a nuisance. And that's in that time when I just cut them so too short. I was kind of just like, man, these are so annoying. I'm gonna just cut them to where they're pretty much not even there. And it hurt my body, as in my shoulder, the position of my scapula, my neck, and my, you know, like everything. Just the body only works as a whole. So I just really want to be able to share. That's what In the Image Clothing Company in general is. Every one of the three sides of our company. That's what it is me sharing what I have learned through experience, because I've had a lot of experience. I'm only 25 years old, but being on this planet for the amount of time that I have been, I have had a lot of experience in a lot of things. I've said that a lot of times, and see, this is funny. This feels more like a podcast episode to me than In the Image Clothing Company music, but here we are, because I've experienced more things in my 25 years than a lot of people do in their 80, 90 years on this planet. No sense in trying to compare anything. I just mean it because that's how it is. So what I'm saying with that, the only reason I'm mentioning that within this is, you know, a lot of times you don't want to have to go through things that you don't have to. Meaning, you don't have to, and it doesn't matter what you want or don't want, or what I want, or him or her, or what, but, you know, so, anyway. It's humbling, it's weird. It's weird that this, like, has, like, ended this way, if you will, but that's good. You can see stuff, though, when it hits me, bro. You can see that, like, yeah, that's why I'm talking about these kind of things, bro. So, Frank the guitar, bro. Alright. Yeah, check out In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I feel like I want to reference that a second time, or third or fourth. I think I've said it at least 3 times within this. So, darn. When I get like this and I just like sit, I don't feel like I have to move or like change anything or do anything or even outro this by any certain time or anything. That's how you know, like, you're just, yeah. And that's what I'm gonna leave it with. So, Today is the 31st of December, 2024. My name is Evan Strong. This is In the Image Clothing Company Music. This is Frank the guitar. I mean, even holding this right here, the amount of natural grip strength that we have as human beings, like I'm saying, if you don't know, because your nails are shorter than the ends of your fingertips, you're going to be so shocked. People are wasting their time at gyms and stuff doing workouts because really what they're doing is just deeply even furthering the ingrain of the patterning that's in imbalance because of the lack of natural strength with their fingernails. So something cool, man. Something that just transitions and transfers over into everything in your life. That's what we talk about. I always say, within In the Image Clothing Company, the stuff that we do discuss, it's universal truth for everybody that applies to every human and will forever. Now, we are sinful by nature human beings, and we sometimes say things that aren't quite correct, and sometimes our deliveries of things don't come across to people the way that they can hear them best. But what we do talk about is the reason why we talk about it is because it's truth and we want to help people with it. So, yeah, those fingernails, equal length on each side of the hands, each side of your body, each one of your hands. Just do that. Don't think about it from the guitar. Don't think about like, all right, trying to do this thing. How can I get my nails to work around this? Again, everything is around our bodies. That's the only way we can actually do anything. Like actually do anything really in our lives. So guitars are something that can become a huge part of your life. It's something that has become and will be a huge part of my life going forward as well. So we just have to keep our bodies being our bodies. So the guitar is just a tool, but our bodies are the thing operating the tool. And our fingernails, even though they're part of our bodies, are just a tool as well. So this is humbling, man. I like this. Humbling for me too, because I have like this idea that this is longer than a video for In the Image Clothing Company Music should be. And that's not the case. So it's not the case, man. It's not the case. Shout out, man. Shout out to Frank the guitar. Shout out to my mom. I know I said both those things already within this video, but my mom has actually bought me everything for Frank. She bought me this capo, she bought me these strings, and she bought me a case, like a padded case. I mean, I've had quite a few guitars, I've had quite a few cases and capos and all the things, but it's been quite a thing this past year and a half, actually, with guitars. And you know, I don't have anything anymore. Well, now I do, until I got these things though. And it's just crazy how a lot of things in our lives are full circle, and a lot of things we kind of have to take like a step back from to really make sure that we're approaching them right and that we're in the right place to be doing the things that we're going to be. So yeah, it's been a ride, brother. It's really cool. Quite the gift. So Frank the guitar, man. That's humbling. Alright. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to keep it rolling, we will, but Frank the guitar, brother. Just looking down this thing, how even everything is, and all the lessons that I've learned to be able to have this be the case. I mean, I surprised myself with how well I can play, because nobody's taught me. Yeah, some things, I discussed this there was an episode of the podcast, somewhere around episode 18, 19, 20 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I titled it, I'm a Musician. And I said within there, some things you just can't leave. No matter if I am trying to decide to play music or not or what, as long as I'm praying and trying to really be obedient to the will of God, I always come back to music. And so just a lot of gratitude, because I never knew, growing up, freestyle rapping, writing rap songs, I never knew that I'd even play guitar. And I never knew that guitars, to the degree that they did, would be what would help me be the founder of a company that helps people with their own physical bodies function. So, really that's what got me into clothing is, guitars, at least in the same time period and for the same reasons, being uncomfortable within what I was wearing and within the positions I was in, playing a guitar that was too large, and certain things that I learned, man. And it's just really crazy that, man, our God works in ways that we don't. His ways are not our ways, not anywhere near. And we can't understand what's going on or how something's going to happen. And then it does happen, and then we still can't quite understand how that was what it was. So it's just very, very humbling, very, very awesome to be a part of. So, Frank the guitar. Yeah, man. Those fingernails. Let's see, he's out of tune. It's a little $88 used, half-sized Yamaha. Set up entirely by me. It's got shims of a little card from my school ID when I was in 7th grade under the nut in the saddle. Custom radius frets just from a flat file, and here it is, making these beautiful harmonic noises. So, and here I am, just content having a around 50-minute discussion up until this point, just sitting here, and it's just so crazy. You never know where you're gonna end up, man, and that's the best. I don't want to know, because I'm not in charge, and the second we try to be, we do stuff like stop playing music. For a little while there, I didn't have any guitars, and threw everything away or gave it away or sold some stuff, guitar wise, music stuff like that. You just can't leave some things, man. So anyway, definitely super out of tune. Anyway, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to cut this thinking that, it's too long, because I get to the point where I get so humbled that it's like humbled with a D, that I feel like, man, I almost don't want to share this video. I'd rather just, delete it and just know that I sat here and had this moment. I think about photographers where a lot of times, like, a shot that they line up and they just love so much, they won't even take, because they just want to sit there and soak in moment rather than try to capture it for a later time when that's not actually the moment, it's just a memory of it. And I used to be a really good photographer. I put quotes like that, air quotes, because I don't want to sound egoic, but yeah, I mean, I was a really good photographer. I mean, I guess I still am if I were to pick up a camera, but I just know that feeling. That's why I, reference it within this, the same feeling, because sometimes that's how it would be. I'd be, out there. I used to drive with my camera in my lap. Like, I'd have the lens of it just like sitting between my legs like this in my car so that I could just like grab it quick and like just, pull over and shoot a shot out the window. Driving four-wheel drive cars and stuff and being up in the mountains here in Utah. And I take photos of animals or just the mountains or cool cars or my own car and precarious places or, whatever. And or just anywhere I was, and then a lot of times that's how it was. You go to take the photo and you're like, nah, I just want to sit here instead. So how I feel with this, man. And it's funny because this is a video that started just talking about fingernails. I was planning on this being like a 10-15 minute video just to like really share what we need within fingernails and maybe a little bit of my own experience, and then now we're just like in a discussion. That's what I was saying a minute ago about you never know where anything's gonna go, man. So people talk about like leaving a legacy, and they talk about what if what they're doing doesn't actually matter in the long run, and trying to do things to be intentional about having it matter in the long run. And I think the biggest thing is just sharing the things you've learned. And even if that's mostly mistakes you've made, that's really great. What it really does too is allow people to know that they can be vulnerable. Because a lot of people feel like they can't make mistakes, but if you're showing that you're making mistakes and then you're somebody who like knows what they're talking about, then people are like, oh, okay, maybe it's all right, it is all right. And so, but really that really is the whole point. It's in our name, In the Image Clothing Company. This is In the Image Clothing Company music, one of the thirds, but there's a lot of symbolism within what our company is, and within our name, that's what our name is we are all universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. So really what we're doing here is bringing people to the gospel, sharing the gospel with people, bringing it to their remembrance, sharing the Book of Mormon, the Holy Bible. If you heard fireworks out there, it's New Year's Eve. That's another thing, is this is how I want to be spending my time right now. This is how I'm going to be best using my time right now, is making this video. I'm not a fan of fireworks. I'm not a fan of worldly holidays that just come and go. And I'm glad that I'm inside. And I don't even think about it as being like a holiday, just because it's a worldly holiday. I mean, yeah, there's meanings to it, but at the same time, like, it's just another day. And so it's really, really sweet to be able to like not even think about that, because I wasn't throughout this video thinking about the fact that it's New Year's Eve. I knew it earlier, but like I wasn't thinking about that through this. And then, oh yeah, there's fireworks. Let me transition. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, spreading the gospel to just discussing and explaining and helping people see that we're just human beings. Every second of our existence is just us being what we are, and we really are nothing underneath our God. And we just have to do all that we can to point people to him and live our lives centered around him and his gospel. And I remember, a couple of the very first videos that I put on In the Image Clothing Company music, where these videos are placed for that, I was saying, like, it's going to be cool to just, like, put the gospel into things, and people are probably going to be like, well, why would you incorporate the gospel into something like that? Like, how, that seems far-fetched, and that seems like kind of a stretch. Nothing's a stretch with the gospel, because the gospel is the truth of all things. And so being able to sit here and just, like, just have the video turn out this way, entirely unexpected on my end. So, just grateful, man. Alright. Cool. It's little things, bro. Little things in life. CGS 102A. Shout out to Yamaha, brother. Oh, man. No, that's great, man. Darn it. It's crazy the kind of stuff that we're allowed to experience. I mean, this is like a euphoric experience, if you will. Seriously, me sitting here having this conversation, what it's doing for me. Because I was sitting on this same part of this edge of this bed over a year ago, playing guitars that weren't right for my body. And making music that was too worldly, making music for the wrong reasons. I've come a long way. I don't need anyone to like see that, but I just want to share what I've learned through it all as I continue to go as well. So, just sitting here with this little half-size guitar, man. It's really weird. You know, life gets a lot easier when you're doing the right thing. To a degree and in ways, because it gets harder as well, because, you know, then you know, when you're trying to do good, that's when sometimes things seem harder. But what I mean is like things like this, allowing your hands to just work how they were designed to, allows them to work better how they were designed to. So, you know, just if we just take that alone and just think about it as if like looking at the contrast from a year plus ago until like this point and comparing those two, like just having fingernails and toenails that are a correct length, that alone like changed my entire life. It's not just about my approach to guitars or music, that's my entire life. So, it's so cool, man. A lot of times we're seeking some things that seem big, you know, and I've had the expensive guitars and, you know, whatever. And sitting here right now, this is where I'm actually calm and content. And, you know, you're not going to get happier once you get more things. You're not going to get more content or more peaceful once you get more things. It's really about simplifying. I actually did an episode yesterday of the podcast, episode 23 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, titled Minimalism. And I discussed similar things to what I'm saying within this, where, you know, that's when you actually can be content, is when you get down to what's actually important and the things that actually matter. And a lot of times we feel like we want more things, and the more that we get, the less that we feel like we are. So it's about just using our resources in the ways that is the most ideal, as in just the way that they're designed to be used. The fingernails is really where I still am within this conversation or discussion. I guess it's mostly like a one-sided conversation. So, yikes, Frank. Also, look how pretty this stringing turned out. Just threw these on like I said, and the bottom end, man, looks really nice. I'm just gonna kind of document the setup of Frank the guitar. How nice and even everything is, bro. When I bought this thing, the angles were just not correct, and I've just done a lot to it. It's really cool. That in itself is really humbling, to take something that is nowhere near what you actually need in ways when you first buy it, as far as flat fretboard isn't really the biggest thing. The guitar is wonderful, but the size wise is wonderful, and the woods and the build quality is awesome. But taking it being something that's actually not what I need, as far as things like that, and then making it something that's just so good. So humbling, man. Very, very humbling. So cool, man, to be able to be in this position that I'm in, The gift of video, like I said. I can just sit here on my bed. If I didn't have this thing recording, I'd just be sitting here just expressing the same gratitude through prayer. But this way I can... It's not about getting any recognition from any human beings by me saying anything within this, but there is a level of joy that comes within us when we see other people who are grateful for things. And I'm not doing this for other people in those ways, but being able to share this information brings me joy. Yep. Because you don't need 20 guitars to learn something I can teach you after having 20 guitars. You don't need to go through all that I went through to know what I now know, if I can just tell you. So, yeah, bro. Darn, dude, that was a real yawn. I feel like I don't yawn anymore. Seriously. Yeah, so every side of this company, all three sides of it, can be just as podcasty as the podcast. That's something that I'm kind of saying, as far as, hey, if it looks that way, then hey, that's the intention behind this. Is I'm just a human being. I'm just a kid, just like every one of us. No matter what age we get to within this life, we're just children of our God. And I just want to share with my brothers and sisters, for real, some information I've learned on life as I've been here. So I also know, man, yeah, she's just getting so real with it. That's how we are as a company since the launch, and that's how we will always be, just so real. I know how a lot of people don't really feel like they have family around them, whether they actually do and they just don't feel comfortable with them, or they really just don't have family that they can talk to or be around. It's not about me at all, but I want this whole company and this whole community that it is to be familial. I want it to be someplace where people are comfortable to be. So I think really the way that we're going to be able to do that is by not trying. By just being real, like me right now, just sitting here and just talking, to show that you can have something be pretty successful. I just know this is going to be a successful thing that we do. Successful in the sake of the intention behind what it is and why we're doing it. And that can happen without trying to be something that you're not, and without always looking uniform, because sometimes I'm in like a quite a different state of being when it comes to different videos that I make, as far as how much energy I bring to the videos or whatever, and how like quick and informative the videos are and like straight to the point, versus how more like laid back and just hanging out they are, like this one. We're just humans, man, and I think that's really what's gonna be one of the main things that sets us apart from just other things within the world, So it goes back to just realizing our place beneath our God and sitting at his feet, waiting for instructions and directions and guidance. And it's so funny too, because it's New Year's Eve. So this is kind of like a, like I said, it's just another day. January 1st versus December 31st. It's just the next day, as if it was December 30th versus December 31st. Like, it's just, time just goes on, and that's just how us human beings kind of like see our existence. But at the same time, yeah, it is, you know, it is a little bit of a change in certain ways. And so for us in our understanding of things as humans, so this is a good little discussion just to hang out, just to show that I'm real. I'm just a kid, just making mistakes, you know, just sharing what I'm doing, and here we go. So, because it doesn't matter, dude. I mean, I think sometimes we get the idea that we need to have like some goal because of something, whether it is the new year or if it's something new we're starting just at any time, or an intention that we have at any time to be something, or to try to not be something that we've been being that we realize maybe isn't the best way of being. You know, it's not about any certain moment or any certain thing. It's like, dude, you're just a human. From the first time you came out of the womb until that last breath you take, you're still just as human through that whole period of being. Every one of us, we're just equals, regardless if it's hard to see that at certain times or within certain people. It's just how it is, bro. So let's just hang out, you know, and help each other along the way. So humbling, man. So yeah, no matter where we get to with this company, like I said, I know it's going to be successful in the ways that it is intending on being, not by any kind of worldly measure necessarily, as far as that's not the goal. But no matter where it does go, or how it transitions, or how it looks going down the road, or whatever, we're all just who we are through the whole thing. So we can't forget that. As in, even if we wanted to forget that, we can't be anything besides what we are. And we're just beings that have to rely on our Almighty God. So, yeah, no matter if it's a new year or if it's just a new second, just as every one of them is, we're still just who we are. And we're still just as helpless as we always have been and will be without our shepherd to guide us. The good shepherd, Jesus Christ. Our ever-present, perfect, all-knowing, almighty God. So, I mentioned a couple good books a little ways through this. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the true church on this earth. And I'm not trying to get no one to believe me on anything. Don't believe me. But it's true. So that's something that, like I said, I'm not so big on New Year's resolutions, and it's not a resolution I'm trying to make. But this is a time that, as human beings across the globe, we do kind of tend to turn over new leaves. And I've definitely been in a place for the past just about year that I shouldn't have ever been in. But that's not really for me to say, because everything works together for the good of those that serve our God. And I'm trying my best to be a servant within all my mistakes. So going forth, I know now more than I ever could have without having the perspective that I've been given, that what I said there about a minute ago is the case. It is the true church, and I was somebody within the past 10 months that was not only not believing that, but trying to convince others otherwise. So I've been given a lot of perspective, man, within all the things that I've done. So I'm here to share. So never underestimate anything. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do coming in here sitting down to make this video, but I felt like it needed to be made right now. And what started as a video, just having the intention behind it on my part to be talking about fingernails and the importance of them when it comes to guitars specific, now turned into this whole message. And that's what I was saying within this and through this too, is it's just about doing all we can to just share. We're all equals, but we all have different levels of understandings in different things. And we got to understand that some people really know a lot more than we do about certain things. And we got to be entirely okay with knowing that we know a lot more than some other people on certain things. And that doesn't always mean that we're being prideful. So, yeah. That's something I've struggled with throughout my life, is I'm really smart. And a lot of times I was kind of like shying away from saying that or showing that. And that doesn't help anybody. I'm a really smart dude. I'm not trying to convince nobody of nothing. I'm a smart kid though. And I've got a lot that I can help people with because of that and through that. So that's why I'm so grateful for this company, man. We will have clothing available. We'll sell some awesome clothing. Just 100% cotton, 100% natural materials, whatever that ends up being in other ways as well. Allowing the body to work, fitting correct, right? We are in the Image Clothing Company after all. But if we never sold an item of clothing, we could still be what we are as far as the information and the truth that we share. And that's what we're here to do. Share truth with each other. Help each other out by understanding that we all need help. And sometimes there's only so much we can do. But our God is a limitless being. So no matter how much you feel like you've messed up, man, you have. But guess what? Me too, bro. Every single one of us, equal sinful humans, we've messed up, bro, big time. So repentance is huge. And I was saying that a couple times through this video, you know. I feel like there's so much repentance within this in itself. Not that any human has to hear this for it to be like me repenting. But I want to share the conviction that I have, man, because I've done some terrible things, bro. Even in ways that wouldn't really be considered by most people terrible things. You know, like some of the things I was discussing, like just stuff that was just so wrong to do. And even if it was out of ignorance, but like, if you could phrase it this way, like justified ignorance, out of just like, you don't know what you don't know, it still was just wrong regardless. And so, man, there's scriptures that say stuff like, you know, being shown the extent of our own nothingness. And I love that. The more that we can realize that we really are nothing, the more we realize how loved we really are by a perfect God. He doesn't need anything, but he still wants a relationship with us, each one of us, individually, authentically to us, and he knows us better than we could even know our own selves within this life. That's weird, man. That's, you know, it's just kind of like unbelievable. So, yeah, I love to further my understanding of my own nothingness, because then that shows me how much I'm worth in the eyes of my God. So, yeah. This guitar, man, it's such a gift, bro. Just sitting here holding this thing. It's so sweet. It's crazy what a set of strings will do, man. I'll tell you what. And I know that from experience in the past, but it still blows me away. Like, I put the strings on earlier. I'm like, what the? This is awesome. So, oh, shoot, man. Just little things, bro. This capo was like $4 US currency after tax, something like that. Like, but it's just so awesome to be able to have. Like, I don't know. It's the little things. The little things that make the world go round, brother. Yeah. Darn. You know, man, if we're just getting real, bro, I've been real this whole time, but I want to really express how real this really is to me, because the feeling you get when you feel the Spirit, when you're sitting within a class at church, learning about the gospel and being in tune with the gospel, that's the feeling I'm getting within this, bro. I mean, it's been hitting me. And I'm sitting here talking about, I'm just started as just fingernails. There's nothing too small. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. There's this quote that I saw online a couple years ago. It was something like, the only peace or tranquility that you'll find up at the top of the mountain is what you take up there with you. Because a lot of times we feel like we're going to be blissful and happy, or, well, we gotta stop seeking happiness. That's something I talk about all the time. But we feel that we will get to have these emotions and experiences after we've gotten to some certain point and like worked our way there. But no, it's once you strip everything away, because that feeling that we're feeling is just the Spirit of our God, and He is omnipresent and He dwells within everything, but we have to just get our distractions out of our face to feel His Spirit. So sometimes it takes us a while to get to that point, and that's fine. We all have our own journeys here, and they're our own. They go how they're supposed to go for us. We're not here to compare somebody else's journey with our own. So I just know that I've been through a lot, bro. Yeah, a lot of perspective, man. That's what I'm saying. So I'm here to share. That's something I didn't do growing up, man, is share, you know. And I was shying away a lot of time by, not expressing the things that I had gone through, for fear of people getting after me for like speaking on my own experiences. They're our experiences, man. So, shout out to 2025. I say the dates on most all the videos for In the Image Clothing Company, and now I'm gonna be saying 2025, brother. Check this out, dude. I'm 25 years old. 6 months out of the year, I'm the same age as the latter half of the year that we say, right? 2025. So, kind of cool, I guess. Just, it's quite rare for people to be born like right when the century flipped. So, anyway, I'm content, bro. I love it. And tomorrow, who knows, volcanoes erupting in Utah. We don't even really have volcanoes in Utah, but like, you know what I'm saying? Just like, you got to be content where you are, because you might not be there for another second. And it's not up to us. So the thing is, I could cut this video out and like walk out of the room and drop Frank and break the neck off of the guitar. And cool, if that happens, that happens, Just being content with where you're at and being grateful with everything in the moment, because it might not last past that moment. So that's why I say stop seeking happiness. Stop seeking happiness and learn how to see the joy in knowing that our God has given us what we have, even if it's stuff we don't want, because He's given it to us for a reason. Like all the stuff that I've gone through, the torment, physically, emotionally, a lot of things just in my life that I've been able to share, and in ways that relate to In the Image Clothing Company, to now be able to do that. All those hardships, man, they're for a reason. Everything's intentional, no matter if you want to believe it is or not. And guess what? No matter if I want to believe it is or not, we don't get to decide what's true, but our God is the truth. So, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm not one for New Year's resolutions. I'm not asking to be held to this, and I'm not trying to hold myself to this. I'm praying in the ways that I pray to be held to the things that I need to be held accountable to by my God. Not another equal sinful human being to me. But I will say within this, because I'm feeling prompted to, that as we go into 2025, I got to do all that I can. And going forward. Because it's not just about 1 year and you're checked it off your list. But I'm staring at a photo of Christ here on the other side of my room. That's why I'm looking over here. I got to do all that I can to really get back to the church and stay centered within the church. It's one thing to have a testimony of our living God, but it's another thing to be doing all the things that you've been convicted of that are true. And I got convicted of them, was doing them for a while, and then entirely stopped. And turned my back on what I knew to be true. That's very wrong on my part. So, being able to sit here right now is a gift. Because this could be the last time that I get to sit here. I could walk out of this room like I'm saying, and something could happen to me, not just the guitar. And not that there's any problem with that. Once we die, we go back home. But that's where our focus needs to be while we're here as well. And knowing what I know/knew, I'm going to show this. Just kidding, I'm not. I'm not hiding anything, but I'm just not going to show within this. I have a book of quad scriptures. The Book of Mormon, the Holy Bible, the Pearl of Great Price, and the Doctrine and Covenants, which are the 4 books that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints recognizes as true doctrine. And on it, I've written in pen, the Book of Truth. And there's no reason I'm not showing it. I'm not trying to hide it. I don't know. I feel like I'm not supposed to actually grab it, but yeah. Reading that book, man, that book specifically, meaning in this case, the Book of Mormon, I got convicted of something I couldn't ever deny, and then I tried my best to deny it within this past 10 months, give or take. And you can't do that. As in within your own being, you can't do that. Doesn't matter what anybody says you can or can't do. I don't care what people say. Couldn't care less what people say. But within your own being, you can't oppose what you know. You can try all you want, but you just feel miserable. It just doesn't happen. One of those things that I knew was that I was going to play guitar for the rest of my life, and I didn't know how that was or what that meant, and I'm not saying that out of some kind of promise on my part, but I was saying that within the first week of having my first guitar, and so okay. Here we are. Okay. That's nuts, man. It's probably right around midnight, actually. Well, probably hear a bunch of fireworks if it were to be. So, I was just going to say, hey, it might be 2025, and I don't care. It doesn't change anything. But I just, for the sake of, this kind of has turned into a New Year's video. Wasn't planning on that at all. But for sake of reference, it is somewhere around, is as in it was when I started this, somewhere around 9 p.m. So, yeah, I mean, we're close to a new calendar year in our earthly understandings of time. But I mean, yeah, right. So it's just so weird, man. We have this company, and somehow music got incorporated with it, and not just for the sake of putting it under the same name. That's great to do. That's one of the benefits of having it structured how it is. But we use our physical bodies to play guitar. And even, I also sing, and any other way that I approach music, there's been many ways in the past that I've approached music. no matter what we're doing, it's our physical fleshly being that is causing that music to happen. So that's why I say every one of the thirds of our company is just as much in the Image Clothing Company as the clothing and human body anatomy side of things. So it's just really weird because I couldn't have expected that back last year or the year before, when I first started playing guitars, and when things didn't feel quite right and my approach didn't, and I didn't know how I was going to make this be something that actually mattered. As far as like, I could have sold out stadiums with music and hit Billboard's charts top 2, just, because, like, just to make it extreme. And it wouldn't have mattered because it's just a secular worldly recognition. And I didn't know how I was going to quite approach it as far as music through a way that was going to actually matter, as far as eternally matter, point people to Christ. Because sure, writing gospel music, that's great, but writing it under the name of Evan Strong, I don't want the recognition. But now having music underneath In the Image Clothing Company, yeah, man, I never could have put this all together. And I didn't. But here it is. So that in itself is just a testimony for me and others as well. That's why I'm saying it's we gotta share, man.